What's going on, traders? Welcome back. I want to do a quick little video on engulfing bars and inside bars. I feel like personally I didn't know what those were when I first started trading, and before I get started, like this is my understanding of it, and I could be wrong, but I also could be right. So please take it as is. Mac probably has a different understanding because he's been trading for obviously forever. So. But again, this is how I trade my engulfing bars and what I look for. So real quickly, so engulfing bar basically meaning there's a in this case a second entry, obviously, meaning that the bulls overwhelmed the bears and the price reversed and went back up. So basically, definition meaning that if this bar, an engulfing bar, engulfs basically one or two bars. In this case, basically almost 3 bars actually. It's indicating a good sign of a potential reversal, right? Meaning that the price might, do something like this, right? So yeah, it's a good indication that the price might be reversing. You might get a push to the upside. In this case, to the upside, right? So there's a few things you have to look out for. And number one, make sure you trade the engulfing bars at the right context. Don't just trade these bars in just the random spots. Make sure it's a second entry, or maybe possibly even a higher low or a lower high. But make sure it's in the right spot. So as you can clearly see, we have a second entry working up. So basically, if you have the EMA going something like this, let's say this is the EMA and it goes something like this, right? So what you want to do in this case, you want to place your order right at the candle right here, basically the wick, or you can do the body right here, right? So make sure that there is two things, right? Make sure that you can use either limit order or stop order, doesn't really matter. I usually use actually sell ask button. That's just how I do it. And sometimes do a limit order. But what you want to look out for, number one, is you want to make sure that the bar ticks lower than this bar, right? And you want to watch the bar and you want the price instantly reverse, meaning there's good momentum happening. And you want to place the order right here, one tick above this wick, or if you want to put basically right here, it's up to you. I usually do it at the body. And you want to make sure that there's enough room between basically your order and the EMA. Okay. Now again, it's very important that it's the right context. Make sure it's the make sure it's the second entry. Make sure we're going either with the trend or whatever, right? But make sure it's the right context. Don't just trade engulfing bars blindly. But in this case, you want to make sure that there's plenty of room to the EMA. That's very important right there. Now let's say that the EMA is basically coming up here or coming down, and it's basically something like this. So in this case, again, you want to make sure that there's plenty of room to EMA. But if there's not, okay, if there's not enough room, okay, then I would just skip the trade. Okay, I would skip the trade and I would wait for either, in this case, a higher low, right? Now let's say the EMA is coming down, basically something like this, moving up, boom, 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 right? That's our EMA. Then in this case, I would definitely just wait for this bar to close, and I would go either somewhere here, depends how if the price comes back. If not, I would just go one tick above this bar, right? So that's very important. So make sure that you understand that, right? And of course, and if the EMA is something like this, just delete this. And then if your EMA has something like this happening, and boom, boom, boom. Actually, no, that's wrong. Do it like this. right? If the EMA is like this, then I would definitely just wait for the bar to close and place my order here, right? So yeah, few things to watch out for. Again, remember, the engulfing bar, you have to look for it, right? You have to make sure that it ticks lower, in this case lower. And same thing for if you're going short, right? Just make sure it ticks lower. You want the price to go back up. And let me show you kind of like the live example, if I can find one. Okay, so right here. Again, make sure the context is right? Even though this is not a second entry, right? This is like technically by the count, it's probably like the 5th or something, or 6th, I can't remember. But you can clearly see if you have a downtrend working down, you have a break, you have expecting a new low, which you finally get here. You also get plenty of support here. This right here, this bar right here is engulfing. You see how it engulfs the previous bar? And in this case, I actually entered way down here, which is a solid entry. But normally, you would place your entry right there at this bar, right here. Even sometimes I try to go to the body, right? That's what I want to do. But notice where the EMA is at. Look at where the EMA is at. Let me just delete this. Far away from EMA, we got plenty of room to the EMA, right? We got like what, 3 points almost, three and a quarter. Plenty of room. Engulfing bar, nice green. Well, in this case, white. But you know what I'm saying. Green bar. I even got my scalp before even basically with the bars closed. Or, well, you know what I'm saying, right? But yeah, this is a perfect example of engulfing bar at the right context. Super nice entry here, right? Now, let me show you. Let me show you the bar. Does not. So here, here's an example too where it's an engulfing bar, right? But it's not a correct engulfing bar. You want. So this is the incorrect engulfing bar, and I was going short on this, right? New low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, and as you can clearly see, the bar closed. Well, first of all, it closed bullish, which is not what you want to see. It's a terrible signal bar. It is a little bit congested because technically this is an inside bar, and then this is also technically inside bar. Because see how notice this bars, these two bars inside of this bar. So not a good look for me. Now, when I was looking live, this bar went down, and I thought it was wow. Well, that's pretty good. It's below the EMA, and I did enter it on engulfing, and it instantly reversed. So again, you have to look out for the right context. To me, this wasn't perfect context. Again, it's a little congestion here. And obviously when the bar closed, I was pretty much got trapped and got stopped out. So again, not a good example, but this is what you not want to do. But like I said, this is the perfect example of engulfing bar right here at the right context. So I hope that makes sense. Let me go over the inside bars real quick. Okay, so let's talk about the inside bars. So when I started trading, I didn't really quite understand what the inside bar was, and it's self-explanatory, right? Basically, it's a bar that's the inside of a previous bar. And on second entry, sometimes you get a second entry, new high, first entry long, second entry long. Technically, this would be a signal bar because they have much in lows. So I personally do not trade these kind of signal bars just because I don't trust them. They're not reliable, and I got burned too many times. So I would ignore these kind of bars, and I want to make sure it's clear that inside bar, the wick and the body has to be inside the previous bar, right? So if this bar ticks lower and it goes up and closes here, then it's not inside bar anymore. So I know it sounds really simple, but again, remember the wick and the body has to be inside the whole entire bar. Now here's a little example here too. Let me just change this color. So let's say you have a second entry, right? Now, in this example, what I would do, I would actually, let me just actually make this like this. Okay. So technically, your second entry signal bar is right here, this bar right here, right? Obviously, this is the inside bar. So how would I trade this is basically, again, depends on the EMA, but let's say the EMA is something like, like this, right? And we're at the EMA. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let's do this. Let's say EMA is coming up, something like that, and we're going like this, right? And basically at the EMA, all that good stuff. We have an uptrend. It says a pullback, two-legged pullback. We are in working uptrend, right? So the way I would trade this is basically I would enter here one tick above this bar, and my stop loss goes one tick below this bar. Okay, don't put your stop loss here. Put your stop loss at the swing low. Okay, very important. I mean, you could technically enter here as well. That's also correct, but here you get a better price, right? But make sure your stop loss goes one tick below this bar. So very, very important. And again, technically by the count, this is your signal bar. This will be your entry bar, but here you're getting a better price. Now, if this bar was red, if this bar was like that, I would definitely not enter. What is going to happen here? I would definitely not enter the trade at all. In fact, I would definitely just skip it and wait for something better. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that I explained it correctly. Again, if I'm wrong, please do correct me. Again, I'm still kind of learning this stuff. So, but this is just my understanding, and I hope it makes sense to you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.